They say time heals all wounds. They lied. Time doesn't heal. It hides, it buries, it covers. But healing is a choice. And until you choose it, you will keep bleeding into every relationship, every opportunity, every new beginning. You can't love fully, you can't trust deeply, you can't live freely until you heal. This is not about moving on. This is about moving forward without the chains of your past. Most people think that the fastest way to stop hurting is to replace what they lost. They leap from one person to another, from one situation to the next, desperate for something, anything that feels like love again. But here's the truth. You cannot heal a broken heart by giving it away to someone new. You can't pour your pain into another person and expect them to fix it for you. Love cannot be used as a bandage for wounds you refuse to clean. All it does is trap you in a cycle where the pain of the past keeps leaking into your present, poisoning what could have been good. That's why so many people find themselves reliving the same heartbreak with different faces. It's not bad luck. It's unhealed hurt repeating itself. There's a dangerous myth that someone out there will complete you. That you are half a person until you find the other half. But you are not half. You are not incomplete. You are whole, even if you are hurting. Believing that another person will fix the emptiness inside you is not romance. It's dependency. And dependency is a prison disguised as love. When you rush into something new without first facing what broke you, you hand someone else the responsibility to make you feel worthy. That's not love, that's survival. And survival love will never feel safe because you're not entering it from a place of strength. You're entering it from a place of desperation. The emptiness you feel inside is not a call to go find another heartbeat to fill it. It's a call to go deeper within yourself. It's a signal that something in you needs repair, not replacement. And that repair doesn't come from late night conversations with a stranger or from holding someone else's hand in the dark. It comes from holding your own. It comes from asking yourself hard questions. It comes from learning how to breathe again without leaning on someone else's lungs. Healing is a deeply personal journey, and no matter how much someone loves you, they can't walk it for you. They can walk beside you, but they cannot carry you. That part is yours. Imagine building a house on cracked foundations. You can paint the walls, decorate the rooms, and fill it with beautiful furniture. But eventually, the cracks will grow and the entire structure will collapse. That's what happens when you try to build a new relationship without fixing the damage within yourself. The smiles won't last, the excitement will fade, and the unresolved pain will seep through the walls. Healing before you love again is like reinforcing the ground before you build. You make sure what you're creating can actually last. Without that foundation, you're setting yourself up for collapse, no matter how beautiful it looks on the outside. People fear being alone because they think it means being lonely. But there is a profound difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness is craving connection. Solitude is connecting with yourself. Solitude is powerful. It's where you learn your own strength, your own value, your own worth. When you can stand in the middle of silence and not feel empty, you've reached a place where love becomes a choice, not a need. And that's the kind of love that lasts. The kind that is shared between two whole people, not two broken pieces trying to hold each other together. Rushing into love without healing first is like planting a seed in toxic soil. No matter how much you water it, it will never grow the way it should. You deserve to enter love without fear that the ghosts of your past will destroy it. You deserve to feel safe in someone's arms without wondering if they'll leave you like the others did. You deserve a love that doesn't have to constantly fight the battles you never resolved. That's why healing before you feel again isn't just a suggestion. It's survival for your heart. It's saying, I will not bring my old wounds into my new life. It's the promise to yourself that the next time you love, it will be from a place of strength, not from a place of need. And when you reach that place, love won't be about fixing each other. It will be about building something unshakable together. We are masters at distraction. We fill our days with noise, movement, and endless business because the thought of sitting alone with our pain feels unbearable. We tell ourselves that if we just keep moving forward, the past can't catch us. But pain is patient. It waits. It hides in the corners of your mind, ready to resurface the moment you slow down. And when it does, it hits harder because you've let it grow in the dark. Avoidance doesn't make wounds disappear. It makes them deeper. Every time you refuse to face them, you give them more power over you. Facing the wound means acknowledging its existence, even when it shakes you to your core. It means pulling off the bandages you've layered over it. Work, relationships, distractions, and looking directly at what you've been trying so hard to ignore. This is not about reliving the pain for the sake of suffering. It's about identifying it so you can release it. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Pretending it's not there might feel easier in the short term, but it only traps you in a cycle where the same triggers keep reopening the same scars. Confronting your pain is terrifying because it strips you bare. It forces you to admit that what happened to you left a mark, that you were hurt, betrayed, abandoned, or broken in a way you didn't think was possible. And yet, this honesty is the most liberating step you will ever take. When you face your wound, you take back control. You stop letting it operate in the background, silently influencing every decision you make. You stop letting it dictate how deeply you trust, how fully you love, and how boldly you live. Facing it doesn't erase the past. It simply stops the past from controlling your future. The truth is, the wound might not be your fault. You didn't choose the betrayal. You didn't invite the heartbreak. You didn't ask to be treated in ways that shattered you. But here's the hard reality. Healing will always be your responsibility. No one is coming to do the work for you. No one else can climb into your heart and repair the damage. That's a task only you can complete. And the longer you postpone it, the more you risk turning temporary pain into a permanent way of living. Waiting for someone else to make it right only keeps you stuck in the wrong. There is a moment in every healing journey when you must decide, am I going to let this wound define me? Or am I going to rise above it? That decision doesn't come when life is comfortable. It comes when you are deep in the struggle, when every instinct is telling you to run from the discomfort. But healing requires you to stand still in that discomfort, to feel it, to understand it, and to work through it instead of burying it. That's where transformation happens, not in avoidance, but in the willingness to go to the root and pull it out, no matter how painful the process may be. When you finally face the wound, you discover it's not as infinite as it felt when you were running from it. You realize that the pain, while real, is survivable. You see that its power came not from its existence, but from your silence around it. And the moment you name it, confront it, and understand it, it starts to lose its grip on you. It becomes a part of your story, yes, but no longer the author of it. And that is when healing begins to take shape, not as an abstract hope, but as a living, breathing reality that grows stronger. Every single day you choose to face it. We are taught to believe that closure comes from hearing, "I'm sorry." We think that once the person who hurt us admits what they did, the pain will dissolve, the wound will close, and we will finally be free. But the truth is, some apologies will never come. Some people will go through life without ever acknowledging the damage they caused. If you wait for their remorse before you allow yourself to heal, you will be waiting forever. You cannot build your freedom on the hope that someone else will give you peace. Peace is something you take back for yourself, with or without their permission. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood acts in human experience. It's not about excusing the behavior. It's not about pretending it didn't happen. And it's not about letting someone back into your life to hurt you again. Forgiveness is about releasing the hold that the memory has over you. It's about cutting the invisible chain that ties your present happiness to past harm. Holding on to anger can feel like a form of power. It convinces you that you are standing strong. But in reality, it's the opposite. It's a leash, keeping you bound to the very thing you wish you could escape. You might believe that holding on to the pain protects you from being hurt again. But what it really does is keep you living in a state of constant battle. You wake up each day carrying the weight of something that was never meant to be permanent. The anger, the bitterness, the resentment. It seeps into your words, your choices, your relationships. It turns love into suspicion and joy into hesitation. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to reconcile. It simply means you refuse to let your past keep poisoning your present. It's important to understand that forgiveness is not a gift for the other person. It's a gift for yourself. When you forgive, you're not declaring them worthy of redemption. You're declaring yourself worthy of peace. You are saying, "I value my mental health, my happiness, my future too much to keep reliving the same story." That act is powerful because it shifts the control back into your hands. They may never change. They may never admit they were wrong. But with forgiveness, they lose the ability to keep hurting you through memory alone. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. In fact, you may remember every detail for the rest of your life, but the memory will no longer sting the way it once did. It will become a scar, visible but painless. And like every scar, it will remind you not of the pain, but of your survival. It will remind you that you went through something that could have broken you, yet here you stand, stronger, wiser, untouchable in ways you never imagined before. That's the quiet victory forgiveness gives you the power to walk into your future unchained. The day you forgive, you'll notice a shift. It's subtle at first. A little more lightness in your step, a little more space in your thoughts, a little less weight pressing on your chest. And as the days go by, that lightness grows. You'll stop rehearsing conversations in your head that will never happen. You'll stop replaying scenes like a broken record. And one day, you'll realize that you've moved on without needing their acknowledgement, their regret, or their change. You'll realize that forgiveness didn't mean letting them win. It meant reclaiming your life, piece by piece, until there was nothing left for them to take. We live in a world where silence feels like an enemy. The moment things go quiet, we reach for our phones, scroll through feeds, play music, turn on the TV, anything to avoid being alone with our thoughts. But silence is not the enemy. It's the mirror. And most people avoid it because they're terrified of what they'll see. In the stillness, there's nowhere to hide from the truth. Every suppressed emotion, every unanswered question, every wound you've ignored, they all rise to the surface the moment you stop distracting yourself. That's why healing often requires you to stop running and start sitting with yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. The ability to be alone without feeling lonely is a skill most people never master. They mistake solitude for isolation. But solitude is not about shutting the world out. It's about inviting yourself in. It's about discovering who you are when no one else is watching, no one else is validating you, no one else is telling you who to be. And when you can find contentment in your own presence, you stop depending on others to constantly refill your emotional tank. You become self-sustaining. That's where true confidence is born, not in being liked by others, but in genuinely liking yourself. When you avoid silence, you delay healing. You drown your pain in constant stimulation, but it never goes away. It just waits for the quiet to return. That's why, even after the party ends, after the messages stop, after the distractions fade, the ache creeps back in. Because the noise never fixed it, it just covered it. Sitting in silence forces you to confront the ache head on. It makes you sift through the chaos in your mind, piece by piece, until you understand it. And once you understand it, you can finally begin to release it. Learning to be comfortable in your own company is one of the most powerful transformations you can undergo. It changes the way you love. When you enjoy being alone, you stop choosing relationships out of desperation or fear of abandonment. You stop accepting crumbs just to have someone near. You stop tolerating disrespect because you're afraid of losing them. Instead, you become selective. Not because you're cold, but because your peace matters more than temporary companionship. You only allow people into your life who add to it, because you're no longer afraid to stand alone. Silence teaches you things that noise never will. It teaches you the sound of your own intuition, the voice that gets drowned out when you're surrounded by constant chatter. It teaches you patience, the ability to sit with something without needing to immediately fix or escape it. And it teaches you emotional independence, the kind that frees you from the exhausting cycle of relying on someone else for every ounce of happiness. When you learn to hear yourself, you stop looking for your worth in the approval of others. You stop begging the world to tell you you're enough, because you've already told yourself. This is why healing often begins in the quiet moments you've been avoiding. It's in the stillness where you learn what you truly need, what you truly value, and what you will no longer tolerate. It's where you learn to comfort yourself, to cheer yourself on, to stand firmly in your own identity without someone else holding you up. And when you master this, you become unshakable. People can come and go. Relationships can shift. Life can throw you storms. But your peace stays intact because it's rooted in you, not in the chaos around you. That is the kind of strength that makes healing permanent. Too many people let their pain become their entire identity. They start introducing themselves not with who they are, but with what they've been through. They wear their wounds like a badge, thinking it makes them strong. But in reality, it keeps them trapped. It's not strength to live in the shadow of your hurt. It's survival. And survival, while necessary in the beginning, is not the same as living. There comes a point when you must decide that your story will not be defined by the worst things that have happened to you. Pain can trick you into believing it's all you are. If you've been abandoned, You start seeing yourself as the abandoned one. If you've been betrayed, you start calling yourself the betrayed one. If you've been abused, you start believing that victim is your permanent title. But these are experiences, not your essence. They are chapters, not the whole book. The danger of defining yourself by your pain is that you keep revisiting it, reliving it, feeding it, until it becomes impossible to imagine yourself without it. And that's how people stay stuck for years, even decades, after the moment of impact has passed. Healing demands that you rewrite the way you see yourself. It requires you to look at your scars and say, yes, this happened to me, but it is not me. That shift changes everything. Because when you stop letting your wounds define you, you free yourself to explore the parts of you that have nothing to do with hurt. The parts that are capable of joy, love, creativity, passion, and peace. Those parts can't breathe when your identity is wrapped in pain. They suffocate under the weight of always having to explain why you are the way you are. There's a certain safety in holding on to your pain. It gives you a reason for your walls, your caution, your hesitation. But safety is not the same as freedom. You might feel protected, but you're also limiting yourself. You're keeping people at a distance who might have been able to love you in ways you never experienced before. You're avoiding opportunities because they remind you of past failures. You're living small, not because you're incapable of more, but because you've convinced yourself that more isn't possible for someone with your history. That belief is a cage disguised as reality. Letting go of the identity you've built around your pain doesn't mean denying your experiences. It means honoring them without letting them control you. It means telling your story in a way that focuses on your growth, not just your suffering. It means allowing yourself to evolve beyond the moment you were hurt. You are not obligated to carry the weight of that moment forever. You are allowed to lay it down, to step forward, and to see yourself as more than the sum of your struggles. The moment you stop introducing yourself by your scars is the moment you reclaim your future. You begin to create a new identity, one built on resilience, strength, and possibility. People will still know that you've been through hard things, but they will also see the light in you that those hard things couldn't extinguish. And more importantly, you will see it too. That is the quiet but powerful shift that happens when you refuse to let your pain define you. You start living a life that reflects not what hurt you, but what healed you. Healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about building something so strong that it doesn't break in the same way again. Too many people stop at the point where the pain has faded, but they never go further to create a life that protects their peace. And because of that, they find themselves back in the same chaos they once escaped. True healing is proven in the way you live after the wound has closed. It's when your life becomes a reflection of the lessons you learned, not just the pain you endured. It's when you stop accepting the bare minimum from the world because you finally understand what you deserve. The life you create after healing should not feel like constant recovery. It should feel like home. That means surrounding yourself with people who respect you, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. It means building routines, boundaries, and habits that support your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It means removing what drains you and investing more in what fuels you. The point of healing is not to return to the version of yourself that existed before the hurt. It's to evolve into someone even stronger, wiser, and more intentional with where you place your energy. One of the biggest signs you've built a life that doesn't need healing from is that peace becomes your default, not the rare exception. You no longer crave chaos because it feels familiar. You no longer mistake unpredictability for excitement. You no longer tolerate environments where your soul has to shrink to fit in. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of hundreds of small, deliberate choices to prioritize your well-being over momentary pleasure, validation, or convenience. Every boundary you enforce, every red flag you refuse to ignore, every toxic connection you let go of, it all adds up to the life you've been dreaming of. When you've truly healed and rebuilt, love stops feeling like a gamble. You stop questioning whether someone's affection is real because you've learned to trust your own discernment. You've learned to read actions instead of excuses, consistency instead of charm. You're no longer afraid of walking away from what doesn't serve you because you know you're not losing something. You're protecting everything you've worked so hard to create. And in that space, relationships become healthier because they're built from a place of abundance, not desperation. The beauty of building a life you don't need to recover from is that it transforms every part of you. Your mind becomes clearer because it's not cluttered with constant worry. Your heart becomes lighter because it's not carrying unresolved weight. Your days feel more meaningful because you've aligned them with what truly matters to you, not what others expect. You start making choices from a place of vision rather than fear. And little by little, you realize that this is what freedom feels like. Waking up and knowing your life is yours, not dictated by past wounds or old patterns. This is the ultimate purpose of healing. To not only survive what hurt you, but to create a life so grounded, so intentional, so fulfilling that the idea of going back to who you used to be feels impossible. It's not about avoiding challenges. Life will always have them. But about ensuring that when they come, you have the strength, clarity, and stability to face them without collapsing. You've rebuilt yourself into someone who no longer needs to run from their past because you're too busy building your future. And that is the kind of transformation that lasts a lifetime. You can spend your whole life putting on a brave face, telling the world you're fine, while secretly breaking inside. You can keep running from the truth, numbing yourself with distractions, forcing smiles in pictures, pretending the past didn't change you. Or you can stop. You can turn inward. You can face the pain, forgive what you cannot change, let go of what no longer serves you, and rebuild from the ground up. Because here's the truth. Until you heal, love will feel heavy. Trust will feel dangerous. Happiness will feel temporary. But when you heal, everything changes. Love becomes safe. Trust becomes possible. Joy becomes something you no longer have to chase. It becomes the air you breathe. Healing is not easy. It will demand your courage. It will break you open before it puts you back together. But it is worth it. Because once you've healed, you will no longer just feel again. You will feel deeply. You will feel fully. You will feel free. So heal. Not someday, not when it's convenient. Heal now. Heal for the life you haven't lived yet. Heal for the love you haven't experienced yet. Heal for the version of yourself who is waiting to be set free. And when you do, you will finally understand healing isn't just about the past. It's about building a future that no longer needs to recover from anything